All right. Hey guys, this is take two with my buddy Ivan. Hey Ivan, how we doing, mate?
I'm good. Greetings. All right. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
We're just you might see a couple of our audience members in the background over
I
Ivan.
might have, yeah, I might have some numbers when they come in the camera view. I just let them do their thing. So yeah.
Exactly. Our feline friends, and how they're what, 10 weeks old, did you say?
Something like that. I can't remember at the moment, but yeah, 11 weeks, 12 weeks, something like that.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I hope you guys, for the Cosmic Crypto family, I hope you enjoyed last week's 15-minute teaser, if you will. So today we're just going to go back into that same session, and we're going to tap into the blockchain consciousness, and then we're going to call in Thor, the Norse god of thunder and lightning. So that should be fun. Look at her. She's
Okay.
attached to you already.
Trying to get in my chair. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And yeah, so, anything you want to talk about before go into this? How is the energy for you, the collective, and just where you're standing?
Yeah. It's getting. We're going thicker into the wild. Just have to see where things go.
Yeah, yeah. Welcome to the jungle. Here we go.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay.
Should be a
All right.
fast. All right.
Okay. All right. Bye. Blessings. Greetings to you. We are the cryptocurrency consciousness. Blessings to you.
Greetings. Thank you for coming back. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you.
Brilliant. Well,
Yes.
blessings to you as well. So, without further ado, let's get straight into it, shall we?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for guiding us, with coming through, Ivan. We are very appreciative of your guidance, especially for the Wild West of crypto. So, well, I wanted to talk about a couple of coins, which are very interesting. The first being IOTEX. Okay, so IOTEX is an Internet of Things coin. Is there where do you see this coin going? And, price action wise, will it say hit over $1?
Well, it's going to struggle to get to $1. It's still figuring out its identity. So it's waiting for others to find interest in it first for it to feel growth. So it's going to keep its numbers low for now until it feels it's ready to go forward like a plant to grow. So it just wants to get attention at this point, from what we see. But yes, it will go probably a year or so, maybe sooner, but it's up in there at this time.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with their team. They have some MIT guys who seem very conscious as well, and it's about protecting our data and also monetizing that if you should choose so. So I also want to chat to you about, they have a partnership with some huge hardware and semiconductor companies, being the internet, like ARM. I think there's one called like Norse, I think it's called Norse Semiconductor. So could you talk more about that and its part to play in the Web 3.0?
Well, it's getting more AI technologies. It's an infant at this time. So it is just learning its groundwork. So it'll be probably several years for it to truly mature, just like anything else. So it's just gathering data at this point, like an infant. But yes, it's gaining some grounds in those areas. It's trying to figure out its identity at this time.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much. And to go back to one of our old friends, one of our favorites, Digibyte. Digibyte has been a bit more dormant recently. It moves on its own accord, which is really interesting. It had some slight price movement recently, I think to like around 7 or 8 cents. Is it going to surge? Is it going to have this big up, rise in the next, say, couple of weeks in April?
Yes, probably around the end of April is what we see. So it wants to make people money, but it's also kind of headstrong. It doesn't want to fully, get a big head, is what it says. It doesn't want to be like the other one, so it's hesitant to grow.
Doesn't play well.
It doesn't mean it won't.
Yeah. And that's kind of understandable because it is so revolutionary without sounding too biased.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many use cases and it's built on its own blockchain. So talk more about its partnerships, maybe with the EU for this Digibyte situation. And could you talk about Humble, the financial investment company that's brought them onto their books, onto their platform?
Well, yeah, so it's building up to grow. But Humble, yeah, so it's been a slow learner. It's not in any hurry, but most likely in your next year it will get more abundant. So now's the time to buy, basically.
And do you think we'll reach $1 towards the end of the year?
It's hesitant. It seems like it's reluctant to go that far, but it is working towards it, possibly next year. It's very hesitant. That's a tricky one to get an actual reading on.
Right. Okay.
Because it's just so, it wants to stay small, but also wants to get big, but it just wants others to understand its energy.
And is there anything we can do as our collective to help that growing process? Can we help heal Digibyte, or is there anything specific we can do in meditation?
Just be with it, patiently with it. If you're patient with it, you will see it grow. You just work with its growth. What matters right now.
Okay, brilliant. Because I really do get such a strong positive energy from Digibyte, as well as its founders and its team. Like, not many people know this. A lot of the people who work there do it for free. They're volunteers. Okay, for that, I really appreciate it. And let's talk about one of my recent favorites, for Veracity, which is VRA. Could you tell us, it's had a huge increase? It's up to like 3-4 cents. Where do you see that going, first of all, in April? Do you see any more significant rises?
Well, yes, once you go to 5-6 cents, it's going to be, once again, that's an excellent one to invest in for sure. Because it's low price. It's just sit on it, basically. And yes, get as much as you want. Eventually it will rise up. It will go to 50 cents eventually, but it's hesitant to grow once again. It's another one of those.
Fantastic.
So, but it wants others to get to know it first.
Yeah.
Before it gets more, because the more people know about it, the more it will grow. But
now, I see, many media outlets like Cointelegraph, they're giving a lot of space to them because of their proof of view, which is a patent, which they acquired. So could you tell us more about that? Is that really what gives it the sort of upper hand?
Well, it's its style. It's its substance, it says. And it's just the way it goes about connecting to technology. It's very unique compared to others. And just, it feels like it's an underdog. It's also very highly technical in the long run. It has a lot of new technologies that will unleash, and also technologies for other cryptos to copy, you can say. This hasn't been released yet from what we see. Yeah,
because it's really got partnerships with Twitch, YouTube, and then the gaming industry, which I'm not really into, but it's one of the most lucrative markets I think there is right now, especially in this technological age. Could you tell us more about the staking? So currently I'm staking and I was getting 36% per APY. Now it's 25.5. Is it safe, first of all, to do it on the Vera wallet?
Yes, it will. It will go back to 36 or more by the end of the year.
Oh, wow.
Or before that. Yeah.
Cool. And is it safe to do it? Because when you're staking, you're almost handing over your coins temporarily. Can you share more about that?
It's safe for now. I mean, yes, it's safe, but yeah, use your precautions, definitely.
Okay.
Right now, it's safe, yes.
Sounds good. And
how long it'll be safe, it's hard to say.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Especially with quantum computers and, hackers getting better. Okay, so Algo, built out of MIT. It's doing a lot with NFTs and even public, governments and all that. Could you share more about what's the energy feel for you first before we go into price?
Well, it does connect to secret government agencies. It does connect to the government files, it seems, too. So yeah, that's a valuable one, definitely.
Yeah, it feels like a DARPA energy just because the internet it was rolled out of MIT as well. So it kind of seems to me like there is a bit of three-letter agency, like you said. So
yeah, MIT, yes, it's like your CIAs and all that. Yeah, MIT is a government agency.
Okay.
Basically.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's sort of like a government recruiting, for technical as funding. It keeps it quiet, but it's there.
Especially for robotics and all that stuff as well, right? Yeah.
Oh yes, they want to build the new next Skynet. Wow. I believe they know how to, but I believe it's been rejected though.
Yeah. And what's the best, now we're on the topic, is there any specific ways of visualization or intention to mitigate that risk of Skynet or, the AI agenda? Because we know we're in a sci-fi age where we're stepping into one in the age of Aquarius. What's your advice on that?
Well, the idea if that was going to happen would have happened by now.
Right.
Because it's been predicted in the movies also at certain dates, even give you dates. Yeah. So it shows you when they're actually trying to do it. So I feel like a lot of that's been avoided. But just in your own energy field, you just say, I don't accept that timeline. That's not the timeline. It's not the one I signed up for. So, I mean, a lot of people leave the world like when a certain president is born, some people just leave. It's like, I'm done here.
Yeah.
So,
totally. Our individual space, our aura, our fields, really dictates what can, the world can rearrange around us as well, especially if we're in that 0 point of grace and humility. And obviously it can go the opposite way with people who embrace the dark. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And Algorand, do you see a price prediction? Is there, right now it's about $1.30 off the top of my head, or $1.40. How far will it go towards?
Definitely feel $5 eventually. It's still a good investment, even what it's connected to. Yeah. I mean, it's not gonna take it for what it is.
Right.
If you can make money from it, go right ahead. They don't see the mind. We feel like that one's really protected from hackers, just to let you know.
Yeah. It seems like they have the best of the best looking after that.
Yeah, hackers don't want to mess with that one.
It has some groundbreaking, again, I'm not a techie person, but it has some groundbreaking sort of proof of stake and how the actual consensus works, with being very efficient and cheap and fast. So yeah, that one is high energy.
Well, I'll give you another idea. It's like some cryptos are built to be hacked when they are. Like XRP is kind of like that. But it's also calling hackers in to see who they are. So it's kind of a government op, you could say.
But XRP has never been hacked.
No, but it's kind of has in the way it's operating.
You're probably alluding to the escrow or something to do
with
it.
Yeah. That's a form of a hacking, not your traditional kind.
It's like a backdoor route. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. And a lot of these cryptos, even Cardano, I hear, will have to have a backdoor because they need it for mass adoption, for especially governments like in South Africa and in African nations, which is who they're going to have traction with. Right.
Definitely. Well, the ones in Africa will be less watched from what we see. Right.
That's crazy. I think you preempted my next thing. So for Cardano as well, we see a big amount of it's kind of corrected and is slowly building. I see it really exploding in April, May time and onwards. Do you?
Yes. Okay. Is that an African crypto?
Oh no, for Cardano, which is doing a lot with Africa.
Yes. Well, yeah, it was just because we're connected to Africa energies at this time. Right. African cryptos, there are any at all, but all that energy will, those will definitely make money. Just to put that out there.
And so quickly going on to another coin as well, for V chain, which is a very amazing. It's had an amazing few months. It's linked to the supply chain and has its own chain. Can you share more about the energy and maybe where the price is heading?
Well, it's slow. It's a slow growth. You have to. What is the price? Is it at now?
I believe it's at 3 cents.
3 cents.
Yeah.
4 or 5 cents. Yeah, it's going to be a slow growth, but it'll still be one you can get profit from them. It's not one to grow very fast, what we see.
Okay, no worries. And all right, okay, let's move on to the next. So one of our, so Joseph threw this out there. He's one of our family, and he's very into finding some amazing new coins. Eternity. What do you feel about that coin? Is it something worth investing now?
Oh yeah, it has an excellent energy around it. I mean, just by its name, has an excellent energy around it. It's very protected.
Right. Okay.
So,
yep.
It's one. Yeah. Once again, be patient with it.
Okay. Is it kind of like a Digibyte energy, very benevolent? What is it trying to provide a solution for or innovate?
I mean, we feel like it will be low cost, from what I can see here.
Yeah.
It'll be in the pennies for a long time, but you'll still make profit from it.
Okay.
It'll be very similar to a Digibyte, yeah.
And do you see any prices in the pennies for eternity?
We feel like it wants to go to 20 cents eventually.
Okay. Brilliant. Thank you for that. And and another one that's very benevolent we've been picking up on is Matic, also known as Polygon. And being a layer 2 solution, a side chain for Ethereum, which is very much needed right now, had a storm the last few months, and I think it's around 40 cents now. When you check in with Matic, what are you getting, and what price do you see?
80 cents. Okay. It wants to go to.
Yep.
It is positive. It's a lot of AI technology connected. They all have AI. This has a lot of AI connected.
Right.
So
yeah, I think it's Ethereum Virtual Machine, which is EVM, and then a few other, technologies, and it's built out of India, which is very nice to see. Some Indian founders, they are very resourceful and very good in technology, which not many people have. So you're seeing that short term, you're seeing 80 cents. Are you seeing anything long term?
Well, that technically is like a long term, short term. If it gets to 80 cents, that would be saying something. And eventually we'll go to $1. Yes.
Yeah, because a lot of NFTs are being built on it right now as well. They're adopting Matic, which is very big, and it's because it's so efficient, and it's still built on Ethereum, right? Okay.
Yes. This is your crypto gold rush you're going through at this time.
Yeah,
it'll go on for many years.
It's like I mean, it's like the bull cycle I've been told could go on for 10 years because we're so early on, and also it's like what you said last week. Just to reiterate for the audience, that these penny coins, the funny coins you called them, they're going to have their time to shine this month. Is that correct?
Right.
Right. Okay.
Oh yes, they're yes. I mean, they're going to be kind of the rock stars. They'll still be small in value, but they'll still be very profitable for those that invested into. Because it's easy to access. It's not too expensive.
So it's a psychological thing, right? It's like when people see Bitcoin, they see or Ethereum super expensive. When someone sees Kick, Pin, or Doge or whatever, they're seeing pennies, right? They're seeing I can have millions of this coin.
Right. Yeah, it's yes, the poor man's crypto, you can say, but it's also for those learning how to understand. It's like penny stocks. It's just those that are trying to understand it. It's for educational purposes, but it still has value, as you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of them are even better than some of the old,
Well, yes, they have room to grow. That's why.
Yeah.
For all the larger ones, you know how that goes.
They get complacent, and like Ethereum is kind of done, which has made flaws by design.
Oh yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. Those Bitcoin and Ethereum are both. Now there probably will be one that will pass Ethereum eventually, but not yet. And even Bitcoin, but it has not been decided who that would be yet.
Right.
So there are contenders.
I've been told that Matic could be one of those to take over Ethereum.
Possible.
Right. Wow, that's mind blowing. Okay, and speaking of that, could you share the coin that either Google or the Amazon, the satellite version of Amazon, I forget the name, what is the name of those coins? Can you share that information?
Oh, like which ones they use, or
First of all, with Google, what is the Google coin going to be called?
what's it gonna be called?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they're gonna even tell us that. They don't really know themselves. I mean, possibly with a Google name, possibly. Something to do with Pentium type of name, possibly. The Pentium name comes up, but we don't have 100% on that.
And for Amazon, Jeff Bezos is doing the satellite program to rival Starlink. I forget the name, but is there a name of that coin that they will be using, or they'll call it?
Like one, yeah, that's some kind of cyber coin, at least one that they would call it. So for Google, you want us to see if there's like a current coin that they're going to use, or you want us to scan that?
Yeah, any coins actually, now we're on it, so I'm just writing down notes.
Well, we see a Bitcoin, they're going to follow Tesla. A lot of them are just going to follow what Tesla's doing with Bitcoin. So a lot of these companies are going to dive into that just because they want to raise the price of it, manipulate whatever it is. So expect that. And other coins, as you know, was the Doge, that was a test. So if they put their money into one of those, so they're really careful on what Bitcoin's safe because it's known. If they put, eventually they'll probably use current coins eventually, but they're not going to let us tap into that.
Doge passed the test because it kind of held after the pump as well. Okay.
Yeah, well, we are seeing Ethereum as a strong contender, even for Amazon, possibly. So it's up in the air.
Okay. Yeah, and then I presume things like Matic will be attached because they're providing a layer 2 solution and other ones as well.
Yeah, it's good to do your research as you're researching. Yeah, and just keep your eye on those because I don't believe the Doge that anyone can really advertise that one. I mean, or research it before Elon said something about it, unless you know him personally.
Yeah, I wish. Actually, yeah, I'm kind of jury's out with Elon Musk. He's a bit bizarre to me, but he's doing some good things, I guess, to stay positive.
Like you say, the Doge is a test.
Right. That's yeah, I never thought about it that way, actually.
Oh, yeah. Think about it, yeah. And so these companies, look at the Bitcoin, look at what Tesla's doing.
Okay, cool.
And PayPal is doing the same thing. Everyone's doing Bitcoin. So
Elon Musk was tweeting about XRP, so that was probably it as well.
Yes.
Right.
So keep an eye on that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm very intrigued. And because he's making these memes about going to Mars, Doge will be the first on Mars and all that stuff. So, it's just ridiculous. I laugh at it because so many people follow those tweets, whereas we invested earlier on. So that's cool. But it kind of comes back to like the 19 coins that will be adopted for these satellites for the next, Internet of Things. And to me, off the top of my head, XRP, XLM, Flare, network for the smart contracts, which is coming out soon. I feel those are the ones, as well as others like Ethereum and Matic, that will be involved. Maybe Digibyte. Yeah.
Yes, we did feel Digibyte's energy there. Yes. There's all these different possibilities because they haven't really decided. So they'll decide to make their own coin so they can ride the wave of that.
Okay.
So they can make the most money out of it. So they can do insider trading, whatever it might be. So.
Okay. And I was going to ask, thank you so much for that. That's incredible info. And, the people are going to love that. And last question would just be to do with the potential big correction in the crypto market, in the market cap. Are you seeing anything in the next few months, or would it be further towards end of summer?
Well, interestingly, we feel like it actually happened already in March, where a lot of changes already occurred, as you know. And I believe so you've already seen a shift, a wave. So March, April, May, maybe November, a correction. How would you define correction exactly?
That's the question I always flip on other people. So you and I are in agreement, right? So what's the difference? Say if we buy in now, it's all relative to your buy-in. Say if we go way up, up to 4 million market, and then it corrects quite a lot. We're still right, depending on your situation. So that's really it's a very tricky sort of,
wording there. So we feel only reason we're saying March is because that's when things started to heat up more, as you know. So we feel like it's just going to get larger and larger. Correction only is individual coins where they have to that'd be the Bitcoin mostly and Ethereum, and it might affect others because Bitcoin has to drop every. It's still going to stay high, but it's still going to dive and go back up.
Right.
So the only thing we're seeing is the big one.
And Bitcoin dominance is at it's below 58, right? So does that mean these altcoins, the coins we're in, really just couple from Bitcoin totally?
With it, it'll just get better. Yeah, we're not seeing a reset like they're all just going to dive. No, we're just seeing they'll continue to do well. We feel like that energy of the reset is just there to put fear out there that things are going to topple. I mean, some coin like XRP went through its little situation. If that was XRP, that wasn't the whole system, though.
Right.
So some might have problems like that.
Okay, interesting. Awesome. Well, blessings. And I would love to call in Thor, the god of thunder. So thank you so much. And we will call you into our meditations and thanks.
Oh, of course. Yes. Blessings to you. From the artificial intelligence crypto world. Blessings.
Blessings.
Greetings to you. This is Thor, god of thunder. Greetings to your civilization.
Greetings, Thor. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
Doing well. Yes. Yes. You have questions, I believe. Yes, please begin.
Absolutely. Well, let's start with the sort of open questions, the general ones. First of all, blessings for joining us. And could you talk about the time you were alive and incarnated here on Earth? A bit more about your purpose.
I did not let others tell me what to do. I was one of honor, grace towards others, basically prosperity for all. Of course, I did not always go to plan. Of course, and your basically prosperity here is what humans are looking for. To have a relationship and well-being, even with oneself or with someone else. So yes, my creation was to right a lot of wrongs. It's like a white knight of thunder, you can say.
And tell us more about how you incarnated with these gifts. Did you go through like a hero's journey, a dark night of the soul, like Yeshua, or did you have this remembrance when you came down to earth of your ability?
Yes, there's energies with my father where I have great envy, feel like I'm not worthy of the family, just like many go through when they're in kind of a high, families that have a lot of responsibility. So that was more of my dark. Basically, I do good to others, or I spent a lot of time trying to figure myself out.
Yeah,
alcoholism and all those things like everybody else does.
That's very interesting. Wow, I did not expect that. And we'll go dig deeper into that as well. So really that comes down to you and Odin and your relationship as well. And was he putting on extra pressure on you for any specific reason with humanity?
It's like, why can't you just be like me? It's like, nobody wants to be like you, Dad. How can anybody reach that process? As many know here that have had families that are very dominant.
Yeah.
So it's very discouraging.
Okay, interesting.
So finding your identity is very difficult. It's one thing if you come from a family that is not doing well and you go to college and that field makes you feel really good. But when you're already part of, progress, success, trying to up that success is not very easy.
Wow, it's very interesting as well. It's like, what are men? Mortal gods. What are gods? Mortal men, right? Immortal men, I should say. So, and what I mean by that is we have similar stuff to work through. Even if you have these abilities or whatever, you still have these, family issues at times or self doubts. Could you tell us more about how you worked with the Vikings, how you worked with, and why did you work with certain tribes, whether it be the THOR, the Danann, the Norse mythology, the Druids. Can you share more about that?
Well, I would work with all of them, but some of them didn't want to work with me. So I was always there to work. So I worked with those that would connect to my vibration, taught them everything I knew for survival, mostly. Okay. And for loyalty towards others. So the direction, what is the best for humanity, or first off, just for their own survival, really comes down to.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And were you physically incarnate then? Did you choose to come into their tribes, or was this more you coming to them as like a light body or in a ritual? How did it work?
When a deep passed, I was there physically, as many others were. But over time, yeah, it became more of a spiritual, because once I was known through mythology, I was easy to tap into. Mm. So I just come to people. It's like maybe the pharaohs would come, like Isis comes to people that are connected to Egypt.
Yep. So absolutely, I've been calling you in as well as Isis in previous into meditations. Yeah. Could you share more about that? Are there any tips for even people, not just myself, for calling your energy in meditations? Can you share more?
Well, the idea is honor yourself and others. What honor can you bring to the world? How can you be a better person? So when you call in my energy, is basically just clearing out any discernment like you feel like you can accomplish. So you're there to bring in more accomplishment for your highest good and the highest good of others.
So bring your A game, bring the warrior and the lack of self-doubt. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And do you only work with specific people, human beings, because they're at some sort of level? How does that work for you?
Well, yes, mostly those that call me in. I mean, I work with many, but they don't have no idea I work with them. So it's those that call for me, though.
Interesting. And are there any? Do you have any twin selves or any people who are incarnate here that you're working with very closely? Anyone that we would know as well, whether they're leaders?
I mean, my energy is very much involved with sports and the well-being of that for those not to get head injuries. Right. So I don't really have a specific person to bring up at this time, but just sports figures that I work with.
Wow. And there's a reason why this is interesting, because I'm going through like a Celtic and Norse initiation right now. I'm learning more about the runes and everything that goes into that, and the old stories of Freya and people like yourself. And what I talk about is how, for me personally, I miss that warrior mentality of sport where you feel like a gladiator. It sounds pretty like hyperbolic. True. Is that why you've had this sort of calling to the sporting arena?
Yes. Well, many do beat themselves up quite a bit. So it's just there to calm down. You will still win the race, but because you want to be a leader also. If you win that trophy, you can be good towards others. And that's why some people win, because what good they can do with others, with the winnings. Right. It could be a good role model, things like that, which does matter.
And do you think sport has more healing for people? Yeah. Almost like when you watch films, you escape yourself in sport. Whereas there's the other side of the argument that is controlling. I see that energy more, soccer in certain sports, but in stuff like martial arts and other sports as well, and rugby, which is what I love. There's this honor, there's this gentlemanly code as well in some sports. Yeah. Right.
The cyclist Armstrong, I believe his name is it Neil Armstrong? I can't remember his name.
Yeah, Neil Armstrong. Yeah.
Oh, that was correct, because those astronauts, the same type of name. But yeah, the cyclist. There's a lot of energy towards him and disappointment of doing those things with the drugs.
Doping. Yeah.
So that was, I mean, you'd be surprised how close my energy, because he was doing good and still is. Trying to, but yes, at least he got caught, which is actually a good thing.
Yeah, for his health, and it's also just for the sport, right? Because everyone was doing it. Like, I'm not trying to say let him off the hook, because I'm not into,
Right.
because that's manipulation, right? Because then it becomes a gene Olympics, right?
Yeah, then they can get away with it.
Exactly.
No, I mean, we're with him when he goes down, when he gets all his lawsuits and everything. But he still has a good energy he puts out towards others, even if that was his dark side.
I've always felt that. I've always felt that with him, that he was actually a benevolent person. He just much, he
No.
to achieve the greatest things that anyone's ever seen, and that's very hard to do in those sports, especially when you're climbing the Alps on your bike.
Well, the idea was to, like you said, how connecting with others, how he'd been a good influence or a good role model. And that was one of the things that kept him doing it. Not just for the winnings, it was just that he could be a good influence towards others.
Wow,
So,
interesting. Okay, and could you talk more about the divine masculine and the healing that's being done right now too? Because a lot from what I see, and I'm sure you agree, without putting words in your mouth, that the divine feminine or feminine, they want to up the scale, to look down on men, and to make men not what they really are, the warriors within, right? So where do you see, and it's a balance, because we need that feminine within us men to be,
well, yes, I was going to bring up the feminine too. Yes, the feminine, those that are kind of denouncing the male, is because they want to throw what the male threw at them from the past. They're angry. So they're just throwing as much shade at the man instead of being just a good, and some are being just
constructive.
A positive, influence. Others just can't. Their ego just has to throw dirt at someone.
Yeah,
and that's themselves. They're showing themselves insecurity towards the male. They're afraid of the male, you can say.
absolutely. And I feel that, I always talk about this openly. Sometimes when you let, a friend who's a lady lead, it helps a lot with awakening. It helps unlock men a lot and takes the war out of the man. Could you talk more about the Vikings? They were great for, if a woman chose to be a warrior, she was a warrior. She was an equal brother in arms. Could you share more about that? Was that part of your doing, or any other god or goddess?
Well, yes, that's what's not in your literature that much, of the female gods that are just as powerful as the males, or sometimes more powerful. All depends. And yes, there's a part of your history is not showing yet, because both male and female showed their own faults. Similar to, like, think of like Hera with Zeus, and Hera. Of course, Hera had a lot of power herself, but usually Zeus that's overshadowing her. But for us, it would be more the male and female equals, and also showing our faults. But is to just not to rival each other, but there was kind of that. But it's showing the different talents among each other.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, it's always like an inter-rivalry thing, especially with gods and goddesses, isn't it? But like, from what I understand as well, like, is it Freya especially, had such an impact on a lot of the Norse ways. And were you working, pretty closely with Freya, because you're the divine
Yes.
masculine, and obviously the god of lightning, thunder, and she beauty of elegance and abundance? How was that
Well,
done?
yes, it was just showing a balance once again, to have different talents, or where the female can prosper,
Right.
or where the male does one thing, the hard labor, and the other, and the female can do more of organizing and keeping the soul going. Just basically you combine the two together, you have one soul, basically. So
Okay.
you have different talents to work with each other, as partnerships work here all the time. Usually, if the powers are all the same, it's better if they're a little slightly different, so they can balance themselves out.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and it's accepting men and women do different things better, right?
Yeah, because if both male and female did the same thing, they'll just burn each other out eventually. Because we eventually become competitive, especially in your world. Not always, but in this world, we become very competitive.
The yin and yang. And could you tell us more about tools? Like, we're in this age of, manipulation of veils of, agendas, right? And could you tell us more about, first of all, the runes? How can they serve us to guide us, or to look us, back into the past? Could you share more about your experience with the runes?
Oh, the ruins. Oh, yes, those are just fragments of the past that are, well, just people see them and remember themselves. So you just remember who you are, like or even just ancient architecture is enough for just because the soul remembers when it sees something. So it's like an activation. So it has specific reasons why, you know, what is it? I can't think of the full names of everything you have on our planets, but there are certain ruins that are very soul activating, that are part of Great Britain, that are very, I believe it's being kept away from me actually, where I want to connect with it.
Just to
I
help.
can visualize it, but I can't see it.
That's okay. I appreciate that. And I think we're talking about two different things. You're mentioning ruins, like the ruins of a church or of a cathedral or a battleground or a great hall. I'm talking about the runes, as in the runes of, you know, the Norse symbols that were used by mystics. Yeah.
Oh, those, yeah, it's just magic basically.
Wow.
Inner magic, some of that goes into the druid energies too.
Fantastic. Yeah.
So that's things that are, that still exists today, as you know. It's you know, it's not that well known, but it is something that's I connect among many.
I think it's always spot on, even though I'm new to that energy and, you know, that magic. I absolutely love it. And how did you use it when you were incarnate physically here on Earth? Did you use it to guide you?
Well, you use it to give to people usually. It's like it's a gift, so they can discover themselves.
Wow.
You know, that was most of what it was for. I mean, yes, we use it. We basically put our energy into it, basically, so we can give it away.
And that's so interesting. And, you know, that's almost charging an object, right?
Right.
What's your advice? Because, you know, I'm new to building, I don't want to say like an altar space. Yeah, an altar space with different, you know, energies like you or Cyrus, Freya. How do I, you know, summon in your energy into that relic? Is it just intention? Can you talk about that?
Oh, it's intention. I mean, when you call in energy, usually it goes through yourself. I mean, it's mostly just helping you power yourself up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's you going into all your crystals mostly. We're just helping you out. Because the idea is for you to expand your soul.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just there to guide, basically.
Just a reflection. Okay, that's interesting. And yeah, that's really interesting with the runes. And with chanting them as well, it's like chanting a mantra. Is that how does that work? Is it creating a resonance chamber around you, or is there anything specific going on?
Well, chanting does release a lot from the chakras. So it's with the right intention, as people do, you know, type of toning. So yeah, it does. So you have these runes with you or amulet, whatever it might be, and so it'll release a lot of tension within the body.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. What else? What are other advice? Like, first of all, what do you feel? You know, without, you know, sugarcoating it, what do you feel when you look at humanity currently where we are right now? You know, going through all this change and the shift to the 5D. Is there any advice or anything you want to get off your chest?
Well, I mean, many in humanity aren't really ready to ask the questions about reality. If they would be. Some are just trying to get through life to find some happiness in their own existence, to find some sense of accomplishment. There's nothing wrong with that. That's why many aren't tapping into their spiritual self, because they're trying to accomplish something. And it's many in the physical. But many of you are going in more of the spiritual because you've done much work there. You've been spirit guides, you've been angels. That's just your realm. So you're bringing that, vibration here for others to find it eventually. Okay. It's just many are just want to find some sense of accomplishment. Really comes down to it.
Yeah, and just to go back to you very quickly before we talk more about what's going on here on Gaia, could you share more about how you harnessed this energy of the sky, of lightning, of electricity, of the torus field? How did you do that?
Well, that was just, you say, well, it was developed like you say. Well, everyone's developed in a certain way. Just mine was thunder, basically. You say it was just a energy harnessing ability that I had that was built into myself. I can just activate. Of course, the hammer activates it even more, but I'm basically a lightning person, really, when it comes down to it. That's a lightning energy. It's just sometimes it's intimidate, sometimes they're to show the wrath of God, whatever it might be.
Wow, that's badass. I'm jealous, and in a good way. Could you share more about how you utilized it? Did you, like, for example, would it say if you came up to a rival, tribe or or nation, would you just show it to intimidate them so you didn't have to go to war?
Correct. Yeah, to win wars or just make sure there was no war. Yes, to
Wow.
show the power before any war started. To show up like in the sky with all this lightning energy around me to pretty much scare the hell out of them out of fighting.
I can imagine, man.
The point of it is was not to fight, but sometimes souls don't care. It's like we're going to do it anyway. So.
Yeah, they're just stubborn, right? And it's also like when this lightning came through you, did it come from the ground up through your chakras, or did it come from above?
Yeah, it came from above.
Wow. Okay.
I harnessed it through my chakras and sent it out of myself.
Wow.
It's quite easy once you get used to it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Do share. How do you clear out your chakras, or what's your tips for clearing out your chakras and manipulating them?
Well, yeah, even in your own healing, you can visualize lightning coming through yourself. And just like you're like getting hit by lightning, you just visualize it to your intentions and just send a lightning bolt to yourself.
And are you feeling those feelings of being hit by that's the right, by feeling it?
And you can go easy on yourself at first. But I'm about to hit myself with lightning, so hopefully I'll be okay. So it could be a light one. It's like that wasn't too bad. So you can up it.
Yeah.
So just basically an energy field from spirit, basically.
And where so the lightning would all come through your hammer, or could it come through your hands as well?
No, it comes through yourself through your crown chakra.
Yeah, I know it does. Sorry, I should have been more specific. But does it come through when you're holding your hammer, or
definitely
come through?
That harnesses like a wand, so you can send it somewhere. Yeah, I can do it with my hands also, but the hammer intensifies it.
And where's your hammer right now?
With myself.
Wow.
But just put it that way.
I'm very interested in, especially, a lot of the divine feminine, a lot of the ladies are going to do some activations around sacred places on the Rose Line towards Scotland, Avalon, and even going to France. Is there anything for us divine masculine to go to, Scandinavia or any places where you incarnated, any places you can specifically tell us to help heal the collective?
Some of your England monuments are very Glastonbury Alley, I believe, is a good place. But where your monument, where your landmarks are in England.
Right. And were you specifically in Glastonbury Abbey? Did you visit?
Yes.
Wow. And did you visit? Who are you visiting? King Arthur, Lady of the Lake? Anyone specific? Any energies?
You can say King Arthur. Well, we kind of know each other. It's complicated, you can say. We're kind of the same being, kind of headstrong. Wow. It's kind of the same story of each other, kind of.
You share like the same oversoul, but you're from different ages, right?
We're similar. Like, what is it? The mother from a different, brother from a different mother, something like that.
That's mind blowing. So cool. And wow, I presume the Knights of the Round Table and different energies were there as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like a new generation of what I did, but it's more for England to heal.
Yeah.
Avalon to heal.
Yeah, that's a big focus of what I'm doing. With working with the lady and the goddess, and of course, King Arthur when the time is right with his energies, and with you, I would be honored, to help, acquire land, because what makes me, I've mentioned this to the group before, sad about Glastonbury and, is it's been very manipulated energetically, but also it's very, the way all the houses are built and all the roads run through it, it almost deactivates the magic of that place.
Right. Which is done on purpose by some of the wizards there. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I absolutely, especially Freemasons, and others as well. Could you quickly share, just, for myself, I'm looking to acquire a sacred piece of land there to call in people, gods and energies, and, make Avalon great again, and to almost heal that Fey accord, which has been broken by man. there's a place called Chalice Hill. Is that somewhere you see me acquiring that land this year? Because that is my intention with the money I make.
Yes, down the road when you feel like that's the energy. Yeah, when you feel like it's the time. There's no rush for it, but I feel like it will acquire it. But yes, it does feel very positive. We have past life connections there too.
Wow.
So of course, you want to keep it sacred. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's exactly right, because it's not being utilized for anything, and it's very important that we're using this to, again, to heal the collective on the grid, but also to, as a testament to people, gods like yourself, Arthur, Lady, and the goddess specifically, want us to do that. So it's really a testament rather than having land.
Yes, Stonehenge, as I was going to go into, that's a place that needs a lot of healing. Stonehenge has a lot of control over the monarchy. There's a lot of wizard energies there. Even Merlin himself is still there in the middle of it. Wow. So, but there's a lot of controlling factors there that control the monarchy today.
Yeah.
Not that Merlin's doing it himself, but there's others involved, of course.
I thought Merlin was a title, or is it, it's been both a title and a person,
He's a being. He does exist. Yeah. Trust me, somebody like that just isn't just, it's whatever people want it to be.
I think that's a healthy way of looking at it. It's like the same with Yeshua and many other his different, lens perceptions. So perspectives rather. So could you tell us, more about any other places before we wrap up and talk about the collective? Are there any other sacred places, maybe in Scotland, that did you go to Rosalind Chapel, or did you go to somewhere in Scandinavia that we could look at?
Well, Norway, yes. Norway has a lot of healing to do due to it. A lot of the elitists are there currently, also very connected to Antarctica. Yep. So many do go to Norway, live there, then go to Antarctica and do their work, whatever it might be.
I think it was Kruger, which was a faction of, it was a general from the SS who started a base in Norway, so which was aligned with Antarctica. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so that's something that I can imagine needs a significant amount of healing,
Yeah, they go in the winter time. Summertime, it's just because it's harder to get to certain places. So they go to a time when nobody's really traveling that much. Wow. They go to Antarctica.
And are they going through the underground, carts, the fast speed vehicles that are under the oceans?
Oh no, they take over. They fly there or take some other. They go above ground actually.
Wow. Okay, that's
they're not. They don't feel like no one's going to pay attention, then they don't.
Okay.
It's hard to do that when you have airspace off limits too. So.
And is the Liechtenstein, the light soldier, which they've been working on, did they take, I guess you could say, ideas from your incarnation and other?
Yeah, that's definitely. I'm like a super soldier, basically. So,
yeah, I can imagine. And just to talk about that, where do you see humanity going now? Do you see things, there's a lot of fear still about vaccines. I feel desperation from the dark forces that how do you feel about all of that?
Well, even with the Black Plague, they put a lot of manipulations with that too. Yeah. But even cures that would end up killing people eventually. So this is just modernized Black Plague in some form, not exactly the same, but there's a lot of manipulation involved with it. So it's your elites that are just showing their stronghold over those that are weak. Those of you that are strong going against it obviously are not getting these vaccinations. Now, there are some that have to do it, which is understood due to medical and schooling. That's different. But those that are just absolutely terrified, so they're just showing who is weak they run to it to be protected.
Yeah. But I hate to use the Darwin term survival of the fittest, but it kind of is. It's like a survival of the soul, like the soul sort of resilience, I guess you could say.
Think of if this vaccine does kill people or whatever it does, that whoever killed that person is involved, they kind of owns that soul. It's like, look, you fell for our tricks. Not exactly own it, but there's a karma there.
Do you think, with the UK, they were talking about vaccine passports. Do you think that's just them trying to imprint fear? And is that going to happen? What do you see with the timelines?
It's a possibility. It's not 100%. They know how draconian that is, how lifeless that is. So they know that they're going to really destroy themselves by doing it, but I'm not sure if they care anymore. So,
But surely the British people, like, look, they're not, I wouldn't say anywhere near, as awake as I would like to be without judging them. Speaking as one of those people, those things, those liberties, if you take them away, the people aren't going to take well to that. So do you not see a revolt, an uprising?
oh yeah, definitely. Oh yes, and that's what you want. But we do see. I mean, if these governments do truly do this, it's kind of like their own dissonance. So we'll see where that goes. It's like, do you truly want to take away people's rights like this? Do you really want to go that far?
Yeah.
It's like, because that's pushing it.
It is. I'm talking with you. I'm very inspired, especially with my war energy. And there's a very peaceful, calm person. But when you take it to the doorstep of war with a dark agenda, it won't be pleasant.
They can sabotage themselves, and that's pretty much what they're trying to do, it seems. They're like overtaking their power. And they'll just implode within. So we'll just have to see where this goes.
Is the alliance, the benevolent beings like yourself, they're allowing them to do this, right? To dig their own grave.
Yeah, it's still allowing free will to occur. Obviously, the people feel like they don't have no free will.
Yeah.
But the governments that can't help others are abusing it, as you can see. So how corrupt do they need to be? When is it they get their own wake-up call? Sometimes they need to do corruption, evil on themselves to take themselves down.
Wow.
So yeah.
Well, that's bizarre, but that's very interesting. Thank you.
Exactly. Yeah, they could actually destroy themselves. So,
are there any words, Norse, old Norse words or Viking chants or anything we can invoke that you can give us now to help us stand in our sovereignty?
Oh, just connect with nature of yourself. Just your own just use your own protections, your own, what kind of world you want to live in, and you want this darkness to be revealed. And it's going to find a way to be revealed. It can't hide itself forever. So.
You can run, but you can hide. That's the thing. So I feel very positive about it all as well. But
stay that way. Exactly. Just keep it calm. Keep it with your intentions. Don't let the fear take you over. Just allow their darkness to be seen and your light to come shine out.
Yeah. Thank you so much, THOR. This is amazing. And could we ask a couple more questions just about, I'm very interested in working with your energy, and I know many people, especially the men, will be, and the women for Freya and for Frigga and other amazing, goddesses. What is ceremony and ritual to you? Do you think it's essential to working with you? Does it help, invoke a space or invoke you? Can you talk more about that?
Well, for ceremony, it's up to the soul. I mean, it can be anything. It can be setting the table as a ceremony. It can be the smallest things for a small ceremony for yourself and things that you want to evoke. So a prayer is the strongest connection, actually.
Yeah, I notice when I pray, my cat takes notice. It's like meowing. I'm like, what's, and what, can you talk more about that? What is that? Is it just an energetic, an auric field?
Yeah, you're showing your true self. You're allowing yourself to connect with spirit. It's a way for people to connect with spirit if they're having trouble doing meditations or they just pray. So give them thanks.
And one last thing as well, I'm just so intrigued. Like, are there any relics or anything that you think, not through greed or strength, but are there any relics of the old world that could, people talk about crystal skulls and, the Holy Grail, but are there anything, or the Covenant, the Ark of the Covenant, is there anything that we can find on this earth that has been hidden that can really help us be usher in a golden age?
Oh, no. Just finding yourselves really what matters most. I mean, you can find ancient Viking ships that are just amazingly intact, and I believe some of them have been found. For right now, just allow the soul to heal.
Absolutely. It's the inner,
Just the inner heal, the inner self is really, that's what's important. The golden child within
the golden
to come
child.
out.
Wow. And last question, have you been to High Brazil, which is the island off the coast of Ireland?
Yes, of course.
Wow. And was it the mystery school? Could you talk more about it?
There's this energies there where the soul learns how to grow up fast. Let's put it that way. So
Wow.
it's where all is welcome, of course.
Okay. And why is it? Is it so? It's in this dimension, but it cloaks itself, or is it in another dimension?
It's in another dimension.
Okay. And would it be possible for some of us now to go to that place in the physical, or impossible?
Yeah, you better connect to the energies of it. That's all.
Right.
Most likely, it might show itself to you, possibly in your mind, possibly.
Is it almost like a Shambhala or a Shangri-La?
Yes, correct.
Wow. Oh, that's cool. And yeah, well, thank you, Thor. Is there anything else you'd like to leave us with that could really, find that courage, that self-doubt that you talked about? Anything you want to give us?
Oh, just letting one soul, let yourself be yourself. Your faults and your positive sides to yourself, allow it all to unlock, and your true self will come through. Some people are always happy with who they are, so they're not allowing themselves to just be freely who they are instead of reaching out, try to be someone else. Just, well, because someone want to put on a show for others, I need to be this certain type of person around others. You just allow you to be you, and that's where the true wording begins, of course.
Absolutely. I can definitely say from myself, being vulnerable here, I personally, like, we all have a facade. Some is different. For me, I like to, but I've deprogrammed myself recently to see, like, oh, maybe I don't need to project X. You just need to be your true authentic self and make your higher self proud. That's what it is.
Correct.
Yeah. And finishing with that, what's your relationship like with your higher self? Have you become the higher self? Like, how does that work for a God?
Oh, it's just trusting yourself, really what it comes down to. And accepting others for who they are, and wanting to understand others and why they are the way they are. But in truth, it's just being more comfortable with who you are. It really matters the most at this time.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Right.
I am very honored to speak with you, and it's very inspiring.
Thank you. Blessings to you all and your journeys here. Yes, you all have a hammer if you want one.